Welcome to the HMO Property Show, by investors for investors. Brought to you by the HMO Property Co, Australia's leaders in impact investing. Investments made with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a positive financial return. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host Neil Gibb, as always, and I'm bringing you our last podcast of 2022. Now, a few reasons that this is going to be the last podcast of 2022. We're breaking up for Christmas very soon. I've got my parents visiting me from the UK, which is going to be awesome because it's the first time they've actually left the UK and spent Christmas in a hot country, so it's going to be weird for them. And then more importantly, I've got my little baby boy that's due in 2 days' time, and I want to spend some quality time with my family and my new addition. So I'll be back in January 2023, at the back end of January, bringing you more quality guests and more quality podcasts, and hopefully you get more value, as that is what I love to do. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Perth market, where we're at now, why we're in this situation, and where the opportunity lies for you as an investor in 2023. Now, as we know, the markets are driven by emotion, and right now there's a lot of people sitting on the fence because emotions are low, tight, anxious. People don't know where the market's going because there's uncertainty out there, because interest rates are rising. And whilst there's uncertainty in the market, that means people's emotions are all over the shop, and that means people will not invest. The only people that are investing are smart investors that read the stats, and these are some of the stats that I'm going to take you through right now. So one of the good things that we've got right across Australia right now is unemployment. Unemployment is the lowest it's ever been. In Australia, it is, in Western Australia, it's incredibly low right now, and we've got job vacancies that people cannot fill, and they cannot fill the job vacancies because there's no accommodation for them people to live in. So it's a catch-22 situation. We've seen companies in the southwest region close the doors because they cannot handle the volume of work, and they're burning out, and they've decided to close the businesses because they can't employ anybody, and they can't employ anybody because there's nowhere for them to live. So unemployment is the lowest it's ever been. On the other hand, job vacancies are also the highest they've ever been. Apparently, we have between 40 and 60,000 job vacancies that need to be filled by skilled migrants next year. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I don't know where all these people are going to live. We've got less than 2,000 properties available on the market to rent in Perth, and we've got under 8,000 properties available for sale in Perth. So let's combine them, and let's be generous and say we've got 11,000 properties available. We're still very short if we've got 40 to 60,000 skilled migrants entering the country, or entering the state, should I say, in 2023. Now, just using them stats alone, you can probably start to see the opportunity that is going to be out there. Now, I appreciate that we don't know where interest rates are going, and that's why investing in assets that produce high cash flow, like HMOs or NDIS properties, they essentially hedge your bets against inflation, because we've got investors whose cash flow has just dropped from $35,000 a year down to $20,000 a year. Or they've gone from $25,000 a year down to $7,000 a year. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a big hit, but all it's done is reduce their cash flow. They are still not negatively geared, and they still do not have to put money into their portfolio to keep it alive. And that is the power of positive cash flow. Now, we know about inflation. It's plastered all over the news. This is one of the reasons that the actual emotions of the market are so high, because the RBA lifted interest rates prior to when they said they would. They actually said that they wouldn't raise them until 2024, but because inflation was going so high, they decided that they were not that they actually were going to lift interest rates prior to what they said they would. But what had happened is people went out and they took out big loans, big mortgages, business loans, etc., thinking that they were going to have a low interest rate and that they could manage their cash flow for the next 2-3 years. But then the RBA went back on their word and they increased interest rate rises, which has then slowed down the spending of money. This is also another thing that construction prices went up because of inflation, and also because of the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine, when it first happened, I didn't realise how bad it was or how much it would affect us here in Australia. But I've seen the knock-on effect from supplies, food, oil and gas, for instance. All of these things have increased in price because one of the supply chains has been taken out of the market, which means more demand for certain products. Remove them from the market, less supply, supply and demand fundamentals, and right now we're seeing the exact same in the market. There is so much demand but not enough supply, and whilst there is opportunities to buy established properties right now to provide as investment properties, and then you're not really helping fix the problem, all you were doing is taking another property off the rental market. So I truly believe that even though construction prices have increased like they are now, I believe that the opportunity is still in new build right now, and I'll take you through why in a few slides time. So inflation is high. We know it's high. Why is it high? What is inflation? Inflation is essentially the introduction of more money into the economy. So people essentially feel like they've got more money, but all it's done, because there's more money in the economy, it actually decreases the value of the dollar, so that we end up paying more for goods and services. And on top of the RBA introducing more money into the economy, we've also got record low interest rates, which means people think they've got more money, and the interest rates are so low, which means they can pay more for real estate, which is what's been going on in Sydney and Melbourne. People have been just paying and paying and paying and paying because money's been so cheap for them. And this is inflation 101. People will pay more money for goods and services. And it's good if you're buying an asset, and even better if you're buying an asset that produces cash flow. But it's not good if you drive a gas guzzler or a car, because petrol's increased, food and groceries have increased, gas and electric has increased. And this comes back to them reoccurring bills. So if you've got reoccurring bills and you've got money in the bank and you're using that money in the bank to pay them bills, and that money in the bank is getting less and less and less and less. Now, if you've got that same amount of money sat in a property which is going up in value and producing cash flow, you can use that cash flow to pay for your bills, which is what we do here at the HMO Property Co. Now, this is also known as quantitative easing, but obviously flooding the economy with cheap money means people can and will pay more for things, which in turn increases the price. So as I said there, we've seen a lot of things go up in value, everything going up in value. But because there's more money in the economy, it means that we essentially think we've got more money, but we haven't. Now, this is the million-dollar question, really, isn't it? Will interest rates go down in 2023? Let me check my crystal ball. Now, do they need to go down? Who knows? Like, if we look back historically, interest rates go up and down all the time. Markets go up and down all the time. We have market cycles. We have interest rate cycles. We have everything cycles. Like I said earlier, the markets are driven by emotion. Now, the minute that the RBA stop raising interest rates, then that removes the uncertainty from the market. When people are feeling more certain because they know the interest rates have stopped increasing, then investing will happen again, because there's a lot of money in Sydney and Melbourne right now, even in Queensland. It's all looking for a home. Perth has got the lowest amount of, it's got the lowest or most affordable market in Australia. We've got the lowest amount of jobs. We've got the highest amount of job vacancies, or the other way around. Might have butchered that. The fundamentals for Perth are insanely good. But if you're sat there reading the front page of the newspaper and letting that determine your investment strategy moving forward, then unfortunately you're going to miss out on potentially one of the biggest booms Western Australia has seen. And let's go back to, I think it was 2006. Western Australia was like $70,000 less in the way of median house price than Sydney. We were like the second most expensive median house price in the country. And then Sydney took off. And we've never caught it up since. Could we catch it back up? Who knows? The fundamentals pointing towards capital growth means that Perth is in for a good run. A very, very good run. Now, we've touched on it earlier. We've already said there's so many jobs out there and not enough people to fill them. We've got so many people coming into the country. And this article here from realestate.com says that the population will increase to 29 million by the end of 2030. Now, that's not too far away. It's not too far away at all. Who remembers the millennium, the year 2000? I felt like it was yesterday. We're already in 2023. Like 2030 is going to get here in no time at all. Now, in Western Australia, we need to be building at least 40,000 dwellings per annum to keep up with demand. That's not to catch up the backlog. This is to keep up with demand moving forward of forecasted people coming into the state. Now, previously, the forecasts were made off the back of mining booms. And when we talk about mining booms, we talk about construction booms, because mines need to expand or oil and gas projects need to be built. And that's when the majority of people are required to build or expand a plant. Once that plant is up and running and operational, they pull back to a skeleton crew, and it takes a fraction of the people to run a plant than it does to actually build a plant. Now, right now, we've got hardly any properties on the market, but there's no big construction projects going on in Western Australia right now. When we look back to the last time it happened, from 2011 to 2016, we had Gorgon Project, we had Wheatstone Project, we had Impex, we had the Shell Prelude Project, which was getting built overseas, but there was a lot of technical staff needed in Western Australia for that. Right now, the market is the same as what it was back in 2011. However, we have no big construction project in the ground yet. They are coming. Woodside, when I worked at Woodside back in 2016-17, the CEO of Woodside sent out a newsletter saying that the amount of work that Woodside had on in the future would create a skill shortage in Western Australia without anybody else, without Chevron, without Impex, without BHP, without Rio Tinto, without South 32. And they've got so much work on, so much expansion work, that they are going to, they need more people. So let's look at the 40 to 60,000 we need right now. You can probably double that. They've got $1 billion hydrogen plant being built in the south of Perth in a suburb called Kwinana. That alone is going to take 16,000 people to build. We've been buying properties around that area now because we believe that that area is going to boom based on that project alone, and a lot of gentrification in that area, as well as people that need to support that big project will be moving down there. Right now, the Perth market is tight, incredibly tight. It's not to say that we can't find established properties for people. We're out there looking every single day. I've got a team of people scouring realestate.com, scouring Domain, Gumtree, for sale by owner, you name it, we are on it. We're also speaking to agents quite a lot as well. And agents generally call us now because they know that if they put a property on the market, they're going to get a lot of people coming in for that property, which is good. It drives the price up. But depending on the seller, they might come to us and because they know that we've already vetted our buyers. We know that they are market ready, and they know that they've got cash ready to buy. Not many people will be buying off-market properties in 2022. We've actually bought quite a few of them because of our relationship with agents. So we can see on the left-hand side here, property sales. Last year, we're doing 1,000 a month. 1,000 a week. Last week, we did 864. So the volume of sales has dropped. But the volume of sales has dropped for two things: the emotions in the market and the lack of quality stock on the market right now. If you look on the right hand side, we can see that last year there was 9,300 properties on the market for sale. Right now there's 8,475 for sale. 4 weeks ago there was 8,213. So there's actually 200 properties came on the market. Are they good properties? Who knows? Are they out of people's price range? Who knows? If they were good, in good locations, they would be getting snapped up. But as you can see, the volume is definitely dropping, and that's because of two reasons. Now, I expect when the interest rate changes, that volume here will change from 864. People will be buying stuff that they are avoiding now because they will get FOMO. And for all of you people that don't know what FOMO is, I only found out not too long ago. FOMO is the fear of missing out, and we're seeing that in the rental market right now. I had Ashley Goodchild on my podcast a couple of weeks back, and Ashley said that when she brings a rental property to the market now, she has over 200 applicants that are all ready to put applications in for that property. 200 people. She's seeing $50 to $100 over the listing price, and she's already inflated that listing price because she knows the demand's out there. So they could be paying $150 to $200 more, and people are putting these applications in without actually seeing the property. That's how much demand is out there right now because they can't get into the market. Now, this is going to happen in the normal market as well, because people are going to get priced out of things constantly, and they're going to be priced out of things by Sydney buyers, because the Sydney buyers are already here, and more Sydney buyers are going to come in 2023. They've got deep pockets, guys. They've got really deep pockets, and the reason that they've got deep pockets is because the Sydney market has almost doubled in value in the last 6 years, when the Perth market has gone down in value. And what they do now, they look at Perth and they look at a suburb like Gosnells, for instance, which is median house price $450,000, $475,000, and they look at its proximity to the CBD, and then they compare that to what they've purchased in Sydney, and they think that Gosnells is going to be $1 million suburb within the next 6 to 8 years. Could it be? I don't know. Maybe. It depends how much these guys come in and buy. But what they're doing now is they're buyers agents who don't really understand the Perth market. They might look at certain metrics, but they don't know historically how the markets have performed during the last downturn, and that's important. And they also don't understand the demand and the need and the want to live in these suburbs. So having a Perth buyers agent on the ground is incredibly good for you. Beneficial, because what we'll do is we know the market's inside out, where right now they're just looking at a few statistics. And for instance, they're looking at Mandurah, buying up a lot of property down Mandurah because it's next to the water. But that's what happened during the last boom. A lot of people bought in Mandurah during the last boom. As soon as the boom ended, Mandurah tanked big time and people were holding empty bags. Now, I might sound a little bit glass half full there, but markets do cycle. And we want to be in the best suburbs we can get into for long-term growth, not markets that have boomed because they're next to the water and a lot of buyers agents have come in there to buy in these areas. We want to be buying in suburbs with good employment, long-term employment, good industry, good infrastructure. Don't get me wrong, Mandurah is a lovely suburb, but it doesn't have much work down there. And as soon as work tightens up, they're going to be the first areas that tank again. Right here we've got rental stats. So the median house price, or the median rental house price, has increased. The unit price has increased. Days on market is decreased. Now, these are just basics. Takes on average 14 days to rent a property at the minute. You know, I think probably less than that when you get out there and you see how many people are actually out there looking for them. And the actual days to rent, I've got the same slide in there twice, look. Perth market, days to rent. Here we are, vacancy rate right now in Perth, 0.4%. And if you look historically there, that is the lowest it's ever been. Now, when people have low vacancy rate and renters will pay more to rent your property, that increases the rental yield of that property, which makes it look more attractive for investors. And I'll go back to the Sydney buyers again, because they are buying up a lot of real estate in Western Australia right now. They are looking at these properties and they are seeing they can buy something for $400,000 to $500,000 in Rockingham, for instance. Good suburb, nothing against Rockingham. We bought a lot of real estate down there 2 years ago. Right now, the Sydney buyers are pushing all them prices up for all of our clients who bought down there 2 years ago. But they're looking down there and they're going, oh, I can get a 5 and a 6% yield down there because people are climbing over themselves to rent these properties. And there's nothing wrong with Rockingham, but like this is what's happening. The Sydney buyers are coming in and they're paying good money down there. They'll potentially pay more than what that property is worth because of the yield that they're going to get. And again, they'll look back in Sydney, and a suburb that far away from the CBD in Sydney could be getting them a 2% yield, and they're getting a 5 to 6% yield. So 3 times what they're getting back in their home state. And again, this is just another slide just to indicate exactly where the vacancy rates have sat and are sitting right now. Now, we touched on here 2012, 2013, this was the last boom that we had. This was Gorgon, this was Wheatstone, they were in full swing. Lots of construction going on in Western Australia. Then them projects finished. Everybody started leaving the state. Everybody went back over east. A lot of investment stopped in Western Australia as well. And this is what happened. The vacancy rate increased. And this right here was a 7% vacancy rate. And we were investing in, we weren't investing, we were helping investors that had vacant properties sat in the market in this time, sat in the market, and they dropped the prices by $100 to $150 per week and still could not rent their properties out. We were converting them into HMOs and we were renting them out within 3 weeks, and we were renting them out for over twice as much as what they couldn't rent them out for before. Why? Because affordable accommodation never goes out of fashion. Right down here, when vacancy rates are as low as they are now, people will pay more to live in a rental property. That's when, if you can provide a rental accommodation which is cheaper than everybody else, and let's say the median rental price here was $450. Let's say you've got, and at $450 they still need to furnish the property, they still need to pay the bills, they need to pay the internet, the gas, water, electric, insurance. And let's say you build a house on the exact same street. It costs you a little bit more to build it because you put more en-suites in there and you're putting a furniture pack in, but then you can rent out, you can rent out the rooms in that property for a fraction of what it would cost to rent the full house. And you will include all the bills for the person that rents. Now, this is when the HMO is very attractive. And this is the market we're in now. Now, up here, I'm going to point out that this is also when the HMO is very attractive, when the vacancy rates are very high. Why? Because this is when all the projects stopped, all the work stopped. And when people lose their jobs, what's the one thing that they look to reduce? That's the spending. And what's the biggest reoccurring expenditure for anybody? It's accommodation. So we, at this point here, we had mining engineers that were renting rooms from us because they couldn't find work and they were looking to save money. They were driving Ubers, they were driving delivery trucks, they were doing whatever they could to save money. But this is how the HMO works in both markets. Tight market, less accommodation on the market, people paying more, people want to save money. Up here, people are losing their jobs and people need to save money. Now, I think it's going to be a long time before we see this again. A long time. Why? Because while the Sydney market's been booming, nobody has been investing in Western Australia, but at the same time, the population's been increasing. So the oversupply of properties, which we had here, slowly got gobbled up. This caused the interest rate to be as low as it is, the vacancy rate to be as low as it is right now, and it's going to remain this long. It's going to remain this low. I think it's going to remain this low until 2025, and even then we'll just see a blip in vacancy because we've got multiple people, thousands of people moving into the state every single year, and we've got hardly anyone building property. And when I go back and show you the slide for the price of construction, nobody's building in Perth right now. Or well, take that back. People are building in Perth right now. People that see the opportunity of building in Perth are building. But a lot of people would prefer to buy established properties because it's already built and they don't need to go through the construction process. Now, the opportunity is there, don't get me wrong, but you are technically adding to the problem. We need to build more housing. We don't need to take more housing off the market. Now, we touched on this as well earlier. Perth remains Australia's most affordable capital city, according to the Real Estate Institute of Australia. Now, we've got the cheapest property on the market. We've got the highest wages in the country. Although we've got inflation, this market is still moving. It's not moving as fast as it was, but there's people still out there buying. Why? Because we don't have a median house price over $1 million. So when you look at a median house price, let's say you've got $1 million mortgage and the interest rate's gone up 2%, that essentially means you're paying an extra $20,000 per annum in holding costs. But when your property, your principal place of residence in Perth is only $500,000 and there's a lot of unencumbered property in Western Australia, a lot of people without mortgages. If the interest rate goes up 2% on a $500,000 property, then you are only paying an extra $10,000 a year. Still $10,000 a year, don't get me wrong, but there's not as many people that are overextended in their holding costs in Western Australia as there is on the East Coast. And this is another reason why the Perth market isn't going to tank, because people can afford the real estate in this state. Now, I've focused a lot on Perth Metro, but now I'm going to tell you suburbs that we've been looking at and we've been investing in. I'm actually investing in them myself. And these are in the southwest region. So regional New South Wales, regional Victoria have been really good performers on the east coast. Regional Western Australia is also pretty good, as long as you avoid mining towns. Now, it might seem attractive to jump into the likes of Port Hedland and Karratha because you can buy a property for $500,000 that's going to rent out for $2,000 a week. A lot of people bought property in Port Hedland during the last boom and they're still holding them properties now, and they are well and truly in negative equity, and they are still bleeding heavily. Fundamentals still apply. Strong workforce, strong work, not construction. And this is why we like Busselton and Bunbury. We also like Dunsborough, Margaret River. And this is one of the reasons that we are down there right now buying real estate. Pardon me. The Southwest region right now, it's always been known, or it's always helped people that have come on working holiday visas. We've always had the strawberry pickers, as they say. They go down there generally to get their second year working holiday visa. But right now, these guys can't even get down there because there's no accommodation. They're basically sleeping in tents. And when we spoke about people closing their doors on the businesses, it's happening in this region because there's no accommodation down there at all. Like, the vacancy rate down there is like technically 0.02, and there's suburbs down there with zero vacancy. So Busselton, Bunbury, Dunsborough, Margaret River, Vass, areas that we're looking in now. We're actually opening an office down in the southwest region mid next year to set up a property management arm down there to manage all the properties that we're purchasing at the minute. Building down there is still pretty good. It's about $20,000 to $30,000 more to build a HMO down in that region than it is to build it in Perth, but the land is a lot cheaper, and the increase in building cost is offset by the reduction in the land cost. And do you know what? The yields down there are insane. Because there's no accommodation, people are happy to pay more money to rent rooms. And we tested the market down in Bunbury and Busselton, and we normally leave our test ads online for a week to test the market and just gauge the demand down there. We had to take these things down after 2 days because there was so many inquiry on the adverts that we literally blown up the Facebook Messenger that we had going. So we are down there now. It's a great opportunity. Not many people are building down there. Not many people are investing down there. And there you go, 0.04, sorry. is the vacancy rate. So there you go, guys. I hope that helps. Brief market update from me, and I want to sign off by saying this. 2022 has been a difficult year. It's been a difficult year for the construction industry, the development game. There's been people out there that have done developments and not made any money from them because the construction prices have gone up. It's been a very, very tough year. We've got people sleeping in cars, people sleeping on sofas. Homelessness is increasing. Social housing waiting list is increasing. It's been a very, very tough year for many people, including myself. We've had our challenges, absolutely. But at the end of every year, we always look back to reflect over what's happened in 2022 before we project what we want to do in 2023. So if anybody is thinking about how or what they're going to do in 2023, I might start next year with a goal-setting podcast for everybody to talk about how I set the goals for myself personally and for the business. If you're interested, let me know. Send me a message. I will definitely record that podcast for you. And I want to sign off by saying I wish you all of the best for the Christmas and festive period. Stay safe, guys. And thank you for following us on social media. And I will see you all in 2023. Catch you later.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you stay up to date with all the cash flow positive property updates.